I feel like I'm pretty good at finding bass quickly offshore, and over the years I've shown you how I use side scan, down scan, 2D sonar to locate bass in offshore areas. But in recent years there's a lot of new anglers that are hitting the tournament scene, finding and catching bass using forward-facing sonar without ever using their traditional electronics. I've talked to several guys who are really good at using forward-facing sonar to find bass, and their approach is almost completely opposite to mine. So in this video, I want to attempt to show you this new style of finding bass offshore, exclusively using forward-facing sonar. I think this video will be very instructive even if you don't have forward-facing sonar to know what you're up against if you're fishing in tournaments. And if you do have forward-facing sonar, it may open your eyes to a completely new world of finding fish. I'm not 100% sold on this technique yet, but I at least want to show it to you and maybe get your feedback down in the comments below. So let me know what you think after watching the video, and other than that, let's get into it. Okay guys, so we're out here on the lake, and before I show you the strategy, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of all the long form fish and moment content, Bridgeford Foods. Bridgeford makes a fantastic beef jerky that I always have in the boat as a great snack as I'm out here fishing. It's one of the few non-endemic brands that support bass fishing, so if you want to support a great company that supports professional anglers and YouTube content like this in the bass fishing space, definitely check out Bridgeford Foods in your local dollar stores and Walmart checkout aisle. So before I start fishing, let me show you where I'm at on the map here. Basically, we have a nice creek channel intersection, and a lot of these guys are not actually graphing with 2D sonar, down scan, side scan like I normally would when I'm trying to find fish offshore. Instead, they're using their contour line maps, basically just looking for channels and places where channels intersect. They want to find deep channels, shallow channels, any intersection in the channels that they can find. And then they drop the forward-facing sonar and they use that as their graphing time versus me, like I would for the last 10 years, graphing with my side scan, down scan in these videos. So we're going to try that, see how efficient it is. I'm not the best at doing this, to be honest, guys, but I want to try it out and kind of experiment and see how good the technique can be compared to my normal traditional methods. So let's jump on the trolling motor and see how it works. Okay, so we got the active target 2 in the water, and I have a bunch of rods laid out. I'm going to start with a big jig head minnow here. This is just a depth 6-inch Sakamata shad. There's some bigger bait fish in this lake, but I have a jigging spoon on, and I have some smaller minnows, some heavier heads, all kinds of stuff. Now, what I'm going to do is basically put my trolling motor on 8 or 9 out of 10, so about as fast as I can go. And I'm just trying to scan around looking for bigger dots that I think can be bass. So there's a bunch of dots on the screen right now towards the bottom of the lake, but a lot of these are very small dots. And the way I set my active target 2 is that you're going to see a bunch of dots that might look like bass, but if we compare it to the size of my bait, which is a 6-inch bait, if I cast it out here, you'll see it at 40 feet. Look how big my bait looks. So that's a 6-inch bait. So that gives us a perspective of how big those shad are down there. They're actually some pretty good sized shad. They're big gizzards in this lake. But most of the stuff you're seeing on the screen here are smaller bait fish. And we actually dropped ourselves right in the middle of a bunch of bait, which is really cool. I didn't graph this or anything beforehand, but on this lake there's a lot of shad. And whenever you find these channel intersections, you're really likely to find some shad. Now, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to scan around out here. What I'm looking for in particular are some bigger dots or bigger blobs that I think could be bass. And I'm going to keep my trolling motor going here on high until I see some of those bigger dots. There's going to be some dots we might see, like those one right there actually. 60 feet out. He's pretty deep. Dang, my bait might not be heavy enough to get down there to him. He was swimming on top of those shad. There he is. 40 feet, he's kind of busting through those shad. Yeah, my bait's not heavy enough to get down to him. There's another one on top of that bait right there. Let's see if I can get over to him. That's a big fish right there. Let's see if I can get down there in time. I might need to go to a heavier jig head. He's one of the things, guys, is you have to kind of, that's a big fish right there. You gotta base the size of your jig head, the size of your bait. There's a lot of factors. That fish is like directly underneath the boat right now. There's a lot of factors that go into this. And a lot of it is determined mainly by how fast that bait can get down to these fish and how effective you can be at doing that. Fish is directly below my boat. So the fish are swimming pretty quick today from what it looks like, just because of the wind. And whenever you have these windy, sunny days, the fish do tend to swim pretty quick. So I'm actually going to go to a heavier head with a smaller bait on it, see if I can rocket that bait down to those fish.
a little bit faster. There were a couple fish in that shad ball right there. Actually, already kind of am seeing some stuff, but there's a couple smaller fish on the screen right in front of me. Those look like 1-pounders. I'm not going to mess with those. I want to catch some bigger fish. And there's that nice blob again. You can see it 40 feet out. They're down in that bait right there, pressing down on them. If I can get my bait down there. There it is. So you can see this bait falls so much faster. This is a 1/2 ounce head. So I'm going to drop that bait down there and just see if maybe he'll react to that really heavy head worked in front of his face, if I even got to him in time. Nope. See, even with that 1/2 ounce head, I missed him. So, dang. Let's see if I can find him again. There he is. And the reason I can tell it's a bass is, again, how fast it's swimming. The faster these fish swim, the more likely they are to be bass compared to trash fish like drum and catfish and carp. And here he comes. Come on. Come on. Come on. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Come on. Oh my gosh, that's a good fish right there. He didn't get it. He's going to shake it right in front of his face, but I don't think he's going to go for it. Nope, he didn't go for it. So he didn't go for that bait. There's 2 reasons for that. One, it's not the right size profile for him, or I didn't get the right motion on it because it's such a heavy head. The heavier the head, the harder it is sometimes to get these fish to react to the bait, but it's hard to get the bait down to them if it's not that heavy of a head. So what I'm going to do is, because that fish didn't react to that small bait, which normally they don't, let me switch to a little bit bigger bait. Let me see what I got in my box. I do this quite a bit, guys, as I change my baits. This head is the head I need, but I need a bigger bait for these fish because the shad in this lake are just bigger. So let's go in here, see if I can grab something a little bit bigger for them. Here we go. Got this 5-inch stroll shad from Hog Farmer. Try this guy on this 1/2 ounce head. Hopefully we find an area where the fish are a little bit shallower too, because these fish are really deep with this wind and with all the waves and all that stuff can be tough to kind of get a hold of. But we got that fish's attention. A lot of times it's a matter of figuring out just the right retrieve and bait and everything for these fish. Another fish over here at 60. I missed him. You can see that fish's tail moving. That's a big fish right there. They're a good fish. Over the top of those shad. Where's he going? He's swimming fast. Let's see here. Bait, where's that fish? Here. We're kind of getting in semi-proximity to him, though I missed him by a couple feet. Dang it. Okay, I missed him by a few feet. It's not good. Anyways, let's keep rolling. See if we can find a few more good ones. There's a good one right there, right on the bottom. Unless that's a stump. Oh, that might be a stump. Okay, let's keep rolling. Looks like there actually might be some fish down there on the bottom too. Sometimes you can find some fish that are glued really tight to the bottom, and when I find that, what I like to do is pick up a jigging spoon, because you can kind of work that thing off the bottom. There's some dots at 40 to 50 foot that are really tight to the bottom out here, and they're off this point. Hard to see, but they're out here 30 feet. So you can see right now, I haven't graphed to a side scan or down scan to find any of these fish. I'm literally just fishing and putting the scope down and going, which is not my preferred method for finding fish by any means. But the thing is that if you can get into an area that has a few fish in it like this, even though it may not be the best area in the lake, you can maybe pick up a fish or two just kind of randomly going around, and you save yourself that graphing time. Now, I personally don't like this because I don't know if I'm casting like at these fish down here at bass, or if these are carp or catfish when they're on the bottom. And I also don't like the fact that I don't know exactly how many fish are in this area. So I'm just kind of randomly guessing, but the idea is that I'm using my forward facing to determine this rather than side scan and down scan like I normally would. So in theory, you should be able to be just as efficient covering water with this if you're good with it compared to with side scan, down scan like I normally show in my videos. Now, didn't pull any fish off the bottom on that cast. I'm gonna try one more cast right here. Because it looked like there were a couple of fish right here. They're swimming. You can see one at 25 feet down, 30 feet out. My bait's dropping down there. A lot of these fish that are tight to the bottom are the ones I've been targeting a lot recently because I feel like they get untouched by a lot of other anglers, and I get a lot of these fish to bite. But I just gotta see if they're actually aggressive and wanting to eat. Come on. I'm working my bait right over the one's head right now. Nope, didn't care. Okay, let's keep moving. So one thing you do want to avoid is kind of doing exactly actually what I'm doing right now, which is throwing at every single dot you see that's not a bass. Especially, I waste more time actually trying to target these fish on the bottom than anything else because I like the idea of catching fish off the bottom that are untapped, but they're harder to identify than the bass that are higher up in the water column. And a lot of the guys who are really good at this, they only focus on fish that are in the top third of the water column because they're easier to get their bait on. So like, here's a fish here that's 20 feet down. The only way I can get my bait to him is because I have this really heavy jig head, which a lot of times the fish don't commit to as well. So you kind of have this like conundrum of, do you go to the heavier jig head, target the deeper fish because they're down there, or do you just ignore those fish and wait until you see a fish that's in like 5, 10, 15 feet, like a couple of those fish there, and throw a lighter bait that they're more likely to commit to and just go with that approach. So that fish right there, you can see swam back down to the bottom, and he's right there on the bottom now. So I haven't really found the best solution to that question yet of, do you target these higher fish or these deeper fish? And I constantly go back and forth on that question in my head. I feel like some days those higher fish are just, again, you don't have to work to get your bait down there as fast, and you can throw a lighter 3/16 ounce head or a 1/4 ounce head, which these fish do bite better than this 1/2 ounce head. Drop down to that fish. He did not seem interested, but I caught him on the 1/2 ounce head, so it's kind of a weird dilemma. But I'm moving pretty quick, guys, so I'm actually kind of fishing slow compared to what I feel like a lot of the best pros are doing. And I have my trolling rudder on 8 or 9 out of 10 right now, and I'm even getting pushed by the wind, so I'm even going faster. And I actually put this butt seat in because of how fast I need to go around and scan these areas. I'm scanning these areas extremely quickly, and I actually was out the other day and my hips started hurting, my knees started hurting from just standing on one leg all day, going at 8, 9 miles, or 8, 9, not miles per hour, but I'm probably going like 3 to 4 miles an hour right now, but 8 or 9 on my trolling motor out of 10. And I started to just, I don't know, just get sore all over, so I decided to put this butt seat in. And you see a lot of the top pros, the younger pros even, with butt seats in the boat because they're moving the boat so fast. And it's almost to the point where if you had like a co-angler in the boat that was moving around this fast and you change direction so much, you'd throw them out of the boat. I was fishing the other day with a buddy, and both of us almost fell out of the boat multiple times in the day because we're moving around so fast. We're changing directions so much, trying to locate these fish, and you're really just basically scanning with this forward facing and trying to just find small, either wolf packs of fish, but a lot of times just more individual fish that are just up here. So we got a fish that's up actually higher up there. See if he'll go. Not swim back down to the bait. Here at 60. Come on. Come on, bait, come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. He's all over it. Eat it. You're gonna eat that, right? Now, come on, come on, eat it. He's falling all the way to the surface. I kind of lost sight of him. Come on. Oh, he didn't go for it. So that fish got all over my bait. I tried to work it quick away from him, and he didn't like that. See if I can throw out here again and see if I can get it back in front of him. Maybe I need to shake it slower. He was pretty hot on it, so I thought he was just going to come up and eat it. Didn't think he was going to turn away. Shake it slower this time, maybe? He's on it again. No? Okay. Not liking that. Huh. Interesting. The last couple fish I threw on haven't committed to the minnow. Now, I've thrown a small minnow and I've thrown a big minnow, so it's not like I have really good data to go off of right now because they didn't bite either. So, not the best sign. That fish did not care. I just floated it right over his face. He didn't care. Okay, so big minnow, small minnow, both no bites so far. The two I've thrown at. But that's not, end of the world. We just need to see if we can keep casting. Ooh, there's a couple good ones right there. They're high up in the water column right here. Come on. Get over there. Oh, I missed the cast on the first one. Is the second one gonna want to come look at it? Nope. The second one didn't look at it. I'm gonna find this other one again. Oh, I'm frustrated by this fishing style a lot of times too, guys, because it feels very random, which it very much is random. You just have to basically, I would say it's like fishing for schooling fish. My goodness, throw myself out of the boat. It is like fishing for schooling fish in a lot of ways. Come on, come on. He was on it for a second. No? Okay. Lost him because I was getting thrown by the wakes. I'm getting thrown around. My trolling motor's on high. A lot of times I catch a lot of my fish off the bottom and on structure, and so it's a lot more consistent when you do find them. It's kind of how I see it, is like I'm going to consistently know I'm around fish. I'm not going to just randomly be out here hunting, searching. But the thing is a lot of times these fish are just the least pressured, the ones that are just out here randomly on the bait fish. So it feels like this is where a lot of it's where all the tournaments are getting won. This is how they're getting won. This guy's just going around. Right now I'm just going down one side of this creek channel intersection. Let's see if I can get this fish to bite. It's a good one right here. There's my bait. Dang, he's swimming so fast. You notice it's a bass because of how fast he's swimming. I screwed it up though because I didn't get it in front of him in time. But when these fish are swimming that fast, that was a good one. When these fish are swimming this fast, I know they're bass. So you kind of have to hit them right on the head. They're high in the water column right now though. Come on. No? He didn't go for it. But this guy, man, that's interesting. It's multiple fish on one cast. You know I'm getting in a good area now. Come on. No way. He didn't get it. Okay. So that is now multiple fish in a row that didn't get it. So what that tells me is that I think my bait or my presentation is not what these fish are wanting. So there's a couple options I can go to now. Is I need to figure out whether I need to go to a different minnow bait or if I need to go away from the minnow. So let's try going away from the minnow for a second. These fish that are high up in the water column are probably catchable on a jerk bait. They're also probably catchable on potentially the spoon if I can get it in front of their face. There's enough of them over here. I might be able to make that happen. The spoon is something I've been experimenting with recently, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I've caught some good fish with it, and they react really well to it. It's just tricky to get on the fish because the bait kind of moves and slides around in addition to the fish moving. So you have like the spoon moving and the fish moving all at once. So it's a little bit of a cluster to kind of keep track of a lot of times. No, didn't get him. Let's see if I can find another one. There's a bunch of fish right in here. We got really to like the heart of this channel intersection. There's a bunch of fish in this area. We got to figure out the right bait though, because we've had enough not commit. When you have multiple fish that don't commit, I don't like to just kind of keep throwing at them and throwing at them and throwing at them, because I personally feel like at that point you just have the wrong bait. There's something that you're throwing that's not appealing to those fish, and there's a couple of fish down here closer to the bottom, which is interesting. I'm going to try to drop the spoon all the way down here, see if I can get any of these fish that are down here close to the bottom to come commit. Nope. Nobody home. Ooh, there's a good one right there. I'm swimming on top of the bait, 70 feet out. Come on, get my spoon in. Where are you at, spoon? Where's this fish at? That's a good one right there. Can I get it down to him? That's the million-dollar question with this spoon. I feel like they eat this really well if you can get it in front of their face. Here he goes. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's see if he falls to the bottom. Sometimes I like to follow the spoon to the bottom, and then you work it up, and then they go crazy for it. I don't know why they want to follow it to the bottom sometimes. Got him. Here we go. Followed it to the bottom. Here we go. Find a way to get them to bite, guys. You can't just always rely on the minnow. Sometimes you gotta switch it up. They wanted the spoon. It's a freaking good one on the spoon too. And this is more my style of fishing right here, guys. On the spoon, in the throat. That's what I'm talking about. It's a jackal spoon, and he choked that thing. That is sick. I love that bite, guys. That is so cool. So that is a way to get him to bite. These minnow fish were not cooperating, so you can't just keep grinding on that minnow. It's a beauty right there. Let me get a picture real fast. Oh, there we go. Beautiful fish right there. Get him back down in the lake. My hook bent out a little bit on this deal. I'm going to rebend that real quick. Make sure my hook points are sharp so I don't lose any. Don't like how that hook bent on here. I may need to switch out this treble hook at some point, but we're going to keep rolling for a minute. That was so good, guys. That was so cool. Let me make sure my camera and everything is good to go. There we go, guys. Got that fish on a Jackal 4.75 inch flutter spoon. I'm going to get back up on the trolling motor. We kind of drifted away. My spot lock disengaged. So we got to get back over to where we're seeing all those fish and kick that trolling motor back on high. We'll scan through this area anyways. Why not? But we're kind of getting into further into this creek. I was seeing a bunch of good fish back on that main intersection up ahead of us here. So I want to get back over there because that's where we're seeing a lot of the activity, and we may have found the bait now. And a lot of times forward facing is a combination of three things. Patience to not cast at every single fish you see, and wait till you see the right size fish on the screen. Two is getting the cast on the fish accurately. And then three is having the right bait in hand when you actually do get the bait in front of the fish. So a lot of times you can have two of those three components really well, where you have the right bait and you have the right cast, but you're casting at every single dot. So you waste a ton of time not fishing for the right bass or not fishing for bass. You could also be throwing the perfect cast at bass with the wrong bait and you're still not catching them. And then finally you could have the right bait, be only casting at the bass, but not be able to get your bait on the bass. So you need all three components to be really good at this. And the guys who are the best in the world have all those three things absolutely dialed. So the spoon, though, is probably the trickiest bait I have found for getting these fish to react, just because of how much it moves and roams around. So it's one of those baits that I feel like can be a good forward-facing bait for sure. And it's something these fish are just not seeing, so that's why I really like throwing it. But I would say from a castability standpoint, not even castability, with this spoon, I actually love how this spoon casts in the wind. That's why I'm throwing it. It's one of the best casting in the wind spoons I've ever had. But it still falls backwards and kind of roams and side to side. And when it falls side to side a little bit too much, it's hard to keep in the beam of the transducer when you do actually get a fish on it. So I think there's a good shot we're going to be able to catch some more fish doing this, but we got to get the right fish. Some fish down in there on the bottom. I'm not going to worry about those fish on the bottom too much right now because that last fish was kind of in the middle of the water column. We got to find the area that has enough fish in it, enough good ones. Looks like there's some fish really high in the water column right there. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, come on. He's all over it. Get it. You gonna follow it down? There's no way that fish is gonna follow it all the way down to the bottom. No. Didn't think he was. These fish are really high up though. Almost need something that's different from what I'm throwing just to capture these fish that are higher up in the water column, I feel like. These fish aren't too high right here. This is a decent height. Oh, there's some freaking good ones right there. Okay, we're in a little zone right in front of us, 70 feet out. There's a bunch of good ones right in front of me. They just dropped to the bottom there. They're on the bottom now at 60 foot. Let's see if I can kind of stay in line with them, see where they went. They all dropped down the bottom. They're all on the bottom here. They were swimming around. I'm going to mark a waypoint right here, just with a fish icon on my front graph, just so I kind of know, like, this is a zone. I just saw, like, on the graph 5 or 6 really big fish that were swimming down here. I think they all dropped to the bottom. I want to see if I can pull any of them off the bottom. I watched them swim down there. Can I pull any of them off? Or are they just kind of cruising so fast that they don't stick on the bottom? They may not stick down there once they're down there. But there were some good ones in this bait. Need some sure enough good ones. There's another one. These are the fish I need to be chasing right now, guys. These fish are on top of these bait balls. I need to be able to hit my casts and be on these fish, because if I can get my bait over to them, I think we're in a really good, we have a really good shot at catching some nice ones right now. This is we found the area, which I could have found this area too with 2D and down scan, side scan, 100% could have found that, but I wouldn't have been fishing at the same time. So I think it would have taken, you know, I wouldn't have been able to maybe catch the first fish just because I would have seen it and seen it maybe on 2D and side and stuff like that, and not actually have my bait in hand when I actually saw it. So by graphing with forward facing as opposed to graphing with side scan, down scan, you can actually fish for these fish at the same time while you're graphing. That's kind of the concept behind it. I still prefer to just graph because I don't like to randomly just kind of go around out here too much, but this is how all the tournaments, and basically all the tournaments right now are getting won, is doing this, which is just getting on the graph, the front graph, the forward facing, and just forward facing around until you see quality fish, quality dots. Like the one on the screen right now, 25 feet down, 50 feet out, is a really nice fish. Can I get my bait to him? That is a question. Looks like I can. Is he going to see my bait or care about my bait? That's the other question. He didn't care about it. It's okay. Let's keep rolling. See if we can get our cast on him. Sometimes when these fish are on this beam too, guys, the angle of the beam gets wider the further you are away from the boat. So even though you see your bait and your fish in the same image, doesn't mean that they're actually right next to each other. A lot of times they might be 30, 40 feet apart at times, and you think they're right next to each other, but they're not. That's really typical. So you got to be careful with this, because you could think that you're making a perfect cast, but you're actually missing them by 10 feet. And you can see this fish is actually swimming around pretty fast. I can barely keep up with them. And that's when you know that it's a bass. It's a decent sized blob, and it's swimming around pretty quick. So this is definitely a bass. Whoa, are these all bass? No. Where's that other blob? Where'd he go? Ah, lost him. spoon, man, I think this is the right bait, potentially, to get him to bite. Now can I get it down to him though effectively? This is like all of these little challenges you run into fishing. You have to make the right decision and figure out, is it the right bait? Is it the right presentation? Am I throwing it in the right area? Like, all these things are really important, and if you aren't hitting all of them at the perfect time, you don't end up catching fish. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into even this forward-facing stuff. It's not just get out here, cast at fish, though it really does feel like it when you catch one. A lot of it is just trying to figure out what you're looking at on the screen and what you can do to trigger them into biting. So here's like 3 or 4 fish right here. I don't know if these are bass or not, or where they're swimming. Let's see here. Where are you at? Kind of disappeared on me. Huh. There they are. Those are 4 really nice bass right there. If I can get my bait on them, we're going to be in business. I just don't know if I can get my bait to them. That's the issue. If my bait sinks down to them fast enough and they don't move, we're about to crack one right here. This is the cast. Come on. You kidding me? Oh, that was it. I'll try to keep up with them while they're swimming. See if I can get my bait back down to them. Before they drop back down to the bottom or do something wild. Swimming quick though. Okay, this could be a good cast. I'm right on the middle of him. Oh, he's looking at it. Come on. Just get it. Eat it. Okay, they didn't like that. So we're going to go back to the minnow because they didn't like that. We're going to go back. That spoon I thought was going to be the deal, but it was not on those fish. So let's see if maybe the minnow is the deal again, or we can get one to react to it. There's a bunch of fish right around here. What in the world? It's a good one right there too. You gonna come eat it? Come on. Nope. Swerved it. Dang. Okay, question is, can I make this work on that same fish? Still right in the area. See if I can get him to. So it's definitely a bass. He's swimming right there. Oh, come on! He smacked it! Dang it, the spoon is the deal, guys. He smacked it. He just missed it because he just probably smacked the head of it. Oh, he came up and smoked that thing. I didn't get him. Dang it. Okay, so the spoon is definitely a thing. They don't like the minnow at all. I just have to get it in front of the right one, I think. But the spoon is definitely the tool for the job today. The one's following it right now. Come on. Man, there's some fish in this area right here, though. I'm telling you what. Those are not bass. These casts, it's a lot of not bass right there. Check my cameras. Still got a little bit of time left. Casted this one more fish, and then we're going to change our camera batteries really quick. We've only caught one so far, so it's not like we've been catching anything fast and furious. This has not been great, but some more fish right in front of me. I think we're starting to get dialed in. We're in a good area at least. Ooh, come on. Come on. Oh, come on. You shark it and you don't eat it? Kidding me? Okay, two good fish right here. Oh, come on. This is a cast right here. Come get it. Come on. Eat it. Come on. Kidding me? Follow it down to the bottom. Oh, he's following it down. Oh, what in the world is happening? These fish do not want that spoon. Just works in the middle of the water column, I guess. I'm going to drop down to this guy. Underneath that bait ball. Come on, get it. Come on, one of you just eat it. Follow it to the bottom. Follow it to the bottom and then eat it off the bottom. Come on. Come on. One of you get it off the bottom. Come on. There we go. Finally, had to drop it past these fish, drop it to the bottom, and that's how they want to eat it. It's so weird. Finally got one here. They're just down there on the bottom, or they want to eat it off the bottom. It's just a weird deal with this spoon that they're not wanting to get, I don't know, they're not wanting to eat the minnow up. Spot lock. They're not wanting to eat the minnow up. They want to follow us down to the bottom and then eat it off the bottom. And it's such a weird deal, but it's what's working, so we're going to keep sticking with it. I need to change camera batteries here, but we're catching them now. Here we go. So got another fish on the spoon here. Took a quick break to change some camera batteries and eat some food, but let's get back to it. And these fish, again, are setting up high in the water column, and I can't get them to chase a minnow, or they'll chase it, they just won't commit to it. But get really excited about this flutter spoon, and this is something I have been just really curious about over the past 3 or 4 months, or what are alternatives to the minnow that will actually work, get these fish excited. I mean, that fish is, he's getting excited about it. Is he gonna follow it down? Oh, he's gonna follow it down. Look at him, look at him. Oh my gosh. Keep following it. Keep following it. Get excited enough to eat it. No, dang it. Why? Oh, he's still on it. He's still on it. He's like, he's right there. Huh. He was curious enough to follow it. He just wasn't curious enough to, or excited enough to come eat it. So weird. Bunch of fish right here. Holy crap. Get my spoon down there. Come on. One of you guys will get it. Come on. Nope. Ooh, there's some good ones up there high. And it looks like there might be some fish on the bottom. There's a little bit of both going on here. What should I do? Guess I can make a cast and try to target both at the same time. That was a terrible cast. Dang. No, I guess it doesn't matter. I cast. There's so many fish around here. I just cast in the middle of like 5 fish. Here he comes. Come on. Eat it. Got him. Here we go. On the spoon. That's what I'm talking about. The spoon is the deal, guys. They don't want a minnow. They just want the old flutter spoon. That's what I'm talking about. Good fish right there. Choking that thing. Oh man, that's so cool. Not having to throw a bait caster, or sorry, a spinning rod, able to throw a bait caster. And just, they're chewing it. That thing is hooking them so well too. They are hard to get. I'm telling you, I have to use the pliers every time. Oh, there you go. You know you're catching them well and they're eating it well when you have to put the pliers out every single fish. This is a bait, guys. This is definitely a bait. I like it a lot. Feel pretty good about getting in front of these fish. It doesn't get fouled up when I'm working it, which is something that's pretty common with a spoon in my experience, if it's not weighted properly and set up properly. So it's pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, this is a nice little deal. We're getting bit pretty consistently at this point, and I'm really getting the hang of what the bass are looking like. If you've noticed, I really haven't been casting all that much at a bunch of random stuff because a lot of the smaller dots just are not bass, and you have to use your bait as a gauge and just kind of put some time behind it, just like identifying bass on 2D sonar or down scan or side scan like I've done for years. You have to put the time in to figure out what is a bass and what isn't a bass. The one thing I really have trouble figuring out is if these fish on the bottom are bass or not. And I want to throw at a lot of these, like right at the bottom, 35 feet, right down there on the channel. Like that to me seems like a place where I might be able to catch a fish or two. But with the forward facing, it's just hard for me to determine if those are bass or not, or if I'm just wasting my time. And so I like to focus on the higher up fish if I can most days, just because you're able to see their movement, see them swimming. And the big thing with bass, again, to identify them, and I'll do a full video on this in the future, but it's, you want to see those fish swimming faster than like just randomly. You don't want them sitting in the middle of the water column randomly just floating there. Those are almost always catfish or crappie or other fish, and they have to be the right size blob. And that's one of the reasons I like the active target quite a bit as opposed to other types of forward-facing sonar. There's a bunch of types out there, but the active target I feel like allows me to differentiate the species of the fish super well, especially when they're off the bottom like this, just kind of floating. And to me, that's so critical, identifying the species, because you can waste so much time just randomly casting. And if you don't know how to identify those species or don't have a tool that allows you to do that, you're going to just waste so much of your fishing day. So I have it kind of dialed in. I feel pretty good about what I'm doing here now. I feel like at this point it's just a matter of running enough water, getting it in front of enough of these fish, and eventually you're going to get 5 in the boat. I don't know how much more complicated I really need to make it. The only thing I would say is if I wanted to go catch a kicker fish right now, I don't know if this is the exact way to do it. I feel like there may be some fish who are saying I'm tired at the bottom. I might be able to catch them cranking or fishing a bigger spoon. And maybe for that I might want to be throwing or graphing around more and trying to find some fish that are tighter to the bottom. I'm not 100% sold on that idea, but I think just to catch a limit, I don't know what these are. These are not bass. Like either they're small bass, there's like these wads of fish. I think these are all just really big gizzards. I'm seeing these wads of fish that are swimming around. You can see they're the same size as my spoons. These are not bass. These like bigger groups. And I keep on, they look so good. Like they look like that's what you want to look for a bass in. And I think you could waste your day casting at those all day. There's a bigger group of 2 bass though that's out 80 feet away from the boat. That's more what we're talking about. These groups of 2. I find a lot of the bass I've been catching this year have been in these wads of 2 to 3 bass as opposed to wads of like 10 to 15 bass. And I try to follow them and I try to do my best, but sometimes with the wind and everything you can't really get your bait exactly where you want it. I'm hoping this cast will be okay. I'm kind of swimming away from the boat, so I'm hoping this will get right in their face. Here we go. Come on, one of you come eat it. They're all over it. Come on, eat it. All to the bottom? Can't see him. The wind is getting me. I can't. Oh, he's on it. He's all over it. Come on. He's right on the bottom. They're both all over it. Just get it. One of you eat it. Can't believe one of them didn't come up and... Oh, he's still on it. Come on. Oh, no! He hit it. Dang it. Where's he at? Where's my spoon at? Ah, the wind! They're still down there. He's still all over it. He's just not eating it. Why? Why won't you eat it? Huh. So weird. They were circling that. You saw that. I made the right cast. I feel like I did everything right on that. He just didn't want it. The wind got me a little bit turned around because I came into this like gale force wind after I got around this point. I lost track of where I was. Here's one. Come on, eat it. Nope. It may have been one of those 2 fish I just cast at earlier too, to be honest. This wind is rough out here to work the forward facing and work the spoon. There's a bunch of fish out here though. Just right in the middle of this big old wind. See if we can find a couple more. Ooh, there's like 4 right there. See if I can hit that cast at distance with the spoon. The distance spoon casting has not been great today, just because of the way that the wind captures the spoon and the way it flutters. It's not always the best. Oh, eat it. Come on. Eat it. Where'd you go? Where'd it go? They're picky. Where's that big wad of them? Where'd they go? A couple nice ones right there. They're swimming fast. So, I mean, those fish are swimming pretty good clip from left to right on the screen. That's when you know you're dealing with bass. But just getting your bait in front of them is a chore. It's like you can see them out there, and the wind is not making my life any easier right now. Where's my bait? It's kind of in his area. Not really. Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, we've caught a few nice fish. nothing crazy, but I feel like we figured out a nice little spoon pattern, which is pretty fun. And I do feel like if I just stuck this out, man, there's a lot of them right there. I feel like if I stuck this out, I could catch 5 good ones doing this. I kind of want to end this video right here, to be honest, and then go experiment with something else today, because it's a decent day for fishing. Maybe I can catch one right here. And I want to just experiment with some different stuff and see if I maybe can try to catch some bigger fish, what I need to do. But I think that this kind of shows this pattern, explains what I'm doing enough that you guys can get a good sense for it. And hopefully this little spoon thing is kind of interesting to you too, showing you a different way to target these fish than just using the minnow at all times. And those fish are right behind the boat now, into the wind. I spin around. Come on, boat. Spin around. I need bigger trolling motor. I need a higher power trolling motor for. I always thought it was silly to have such a powerful trolling motor for my little boat, but now I understand that I might actually need it just for this, just for driving around out here with my forward facing. Come on. Oh, I'm right in the middle of them. One of you get it. Come on. Fall to the bottom? Is he following to the bottom? I don't know if he actually followed down there. Probably scared him down there. Huh. Interesting. Oh, let's see. Can we get one of these fish? There's a bunch of them down here. I just want to see if I can get one more fish out here to really cap us off. Get one more bite in the spoon. It's been a fun little bite. I'm just happy I'm not having to catch him on a spinning rod. That's like 90% of why I like this right now. Are you getting excited on it? Or can't tell. Oh, how did I miss all those fish? There's 3 of them right there. I wonder if some of these are ones I've already picked on too, though. Or if they're just so keyed in on the bait that they're not even worried about my bait. Could also be something. A lot of times when these fish get super keyed in on the bait that they're eating, they won't touch anything that isn't like the exact size of their bait. But I'm about to drop right on them. Come on. Sink bait. Like directly underneath the boat. See if I can get my bait down there fast enough. There's some good ones underneath that bait ball right there. These bait ball fish do not care about my spoon at all. You can see them up on top of the bait balls. You can see them all over. They are not interested in my spoon whatsoever. The isolated fish are, but these bait ball fish, I can drop my spoon right through them and they do not get interested. Maybe this drop, I'm dropping it literally right through a bunch of them. No? That is wild. Huh. Fish are just picky, picky, picky. See if I can get my bait down to these fish. These are definitely bass right here, I feel like. They're just not, maybe they're not bass. Maybe I'm chasing something else. I don't know. I guess I haven't caught any fish around these bait balls, so I feel like these should be bass though. They're just very picky. But I'm gonna in this video here, guys. It is getting really windy out here. I'm gonna go try to find a more protected area and try to see if I can catch a few more fish. But that spoon definitely came in clutch today. This is that Jackal. I think it's called the Comeback. I'll link it in the description, but it's a really good little spoon, and it's the only thing I can get him to bite on. But ended up catching a few fish on it, and hopefully showed you how these guys are using this forward-facing sonar, basically just going around randomly, trying to find these isolated individual fish floating around the area. It's very different from how I normally fish and how I like to fish, and I'm not necessarily convinced that I can't catch them with my traditional techniques almost as well at times, but I know that this is a very consistent pattern because you don't need to actually find a group of fish. You can just randomly go around out here and just start catching 3-pounders, which is kind of crazy to me. But anyways, hopefully this video is helpful in showing you what this technique's all about if you want to try it, or just, you know, if you're curious about what these guys are doing with forward-facing sonar. It gave you a little bit of insight into that. So anyways, thanks for checking out this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.